so much for taking this plan reading lunch and learn. My name's Keith Wakefield. I am the Construction Area Engineer here at CDOT. I've been with CDOT for 8 years, and I've done local agency coordination, design, and construction. So I'm well versed with putting plan sets together, reading them and interpreting them during construction, as well as just kind of basic plan review. And then I'll be co-teaching this training with Eric Salemi. Eric.
Hey, everybody. So yeah, Eric Salemi. I'm up in Region 4. I'm the resident engineer for the design unit up here. So been with CDOT for 16 years, last 10 years, mostly in design, putting plans and specs together, getting them out to add. A little bit of construction experience previous to that for the first 5 years of my career. So yeah, hopefully we can help you learn something today.
Perfect. First of all, I just want to kind of set some ground rules for this training. So first of all, we're coming in with the expectation that you know nothing about plan sets and construction contracts and any of that. So please feel free to ask questions. There's no bad question. We are willing to do this. This is supposed to be a learning experience. So we're willing to step through and, boil things down to the bare basics as part of this training. If any questions do come up while we're presenting, please feel free to hit the raise hand button or type it in the chat, and we'll try to address the questions as soon as we have a moment. And then at the end of the training, we're going to have some time that we can go through and do kind of a Q&A. And in order for this training to be effective, we really need participation from the audience. So we really need you to ask any question you possibly might have, and we can go through it together. So, Eric, do you want to go through the agenda?
I shall. Okay, so yeah, so basically we're going to go through a few different topics here. Hopefully we'll teach you something about reading plans. It was kind of interesting as we're putting this sort of presentation together, where I know I always felt like, well, yeah, there's one thing to read plans, but it's also another thing to even understand what the plans are and how it fits into what we do here at CDOT. So, some of the topics we'll be talking about might be directed more towards that, just kind of understanding what plans are. And then obviously we'll dive into the plans as well. So understanding the contract, that'll be the first topic we kind of talk about. And again, that's more emphasized about where do the plans fit within CDOT in the process, in our contract documents. We'll talk about that briefly because that is very important when you're trying to understand the plans. Next thing we'll do is we'll dive into a plan set. We're going to go sheet by sheet. We'll talk about the plans. Again, a couple things. One, how to read them, certain things that you're going to want to be aware of. And then at the same time, I know I'll interject, and I'm sure Keith will too, about maybe what should be on the plans. We'll talk about that a lot as well. And then, as Keith mentioned, probably the most important part is the question and answer time. Again, this training is for you guys. So if there are some specific questions that you've got, please feel free to ask. Again, my philosophy is the only dumb question is the one that's not asked. Again, if you're thinking about it, I'm going to guess there's somebody else thinking about it as well. So do not hesitate to ask any question whatsoever. So yeah.
Cool. So now we're going to go into understanding the question. This is the why. Why do we put plan sets together? Well, it's part of a big contract that we have to build something. We're here to get roads built and to get them maintained and to fix our infrastructure. So when we put a contract together, there's two different portions. There's the actual contract, which is this portion up here. On the cover letter of our contract, it says the order of precedence of documents. So this is a federal contract, so it has federal requirements that supersede the rest of the requirements on the contract. Then we have Colorado Special Provision Section 20 that supersede everything else. These are just kind of boilerplate concepts that apply to all of our contracts. Then it goes to the special provisions for the project. So we're not even in the plan set yet. These are notes, terms, specific guidelines as to what needs to be constructed and how it needs to be constructed. Typically, we have a project special provisions, which these are specifications that are specific to the project. Typically, the designer creates these project special provisions. Then we have standard special provisions. These are provisions that apply to different projects statewide for uniformity purposes. The designer gets to select which ones of these standard special provisions apply to each project during the design phase. So when we go, then we have our plan set. So as we're talking about plans, that is not necessarily less important, but if there's a conflict between what is shown in the plans, which is kind of a visual representation of what needs to get constructed, the specs are more of a, you know, a lawyer speak, a instruction guide, a manual as to how things need to be constructed and what are the terms of how it needs to be constructed. Then we have our project specifications, which is our spec book. Then we have other aspects of the contract, the bidder's proposal, so on and so forth. Within our spec package, so within the specifications, it also outlines an order of precedence, which goes into the same kind of concepts as to the order of precedence. So today for this training, we are focused only on interpreting project plans. But I think you need to understand big picture that the project special provisions trump the project plans. So do the standard special provisions, as well as the federal requirements, so on and so forth. Eric, is there anything else you want to add to this?
No, I think just emphasizing what you said is critical. Just understanding that what you read in the plans, it's all your intention, but you just got to be careful. There are documents that will override what you're saying in the plans. And that's why we talk about this, the first thing we talk about. Yep. It's just critical to understand that. So yeah, no, great job.
And there's a right spot for specifications, and then there's a right spot for including stuff in the plans. Typically, it's in the plans if it needs more of a visual representation, whereas the spec is more of a narrative representation.